They're calling him the alleged murderer with a heart. Austin Drummond is charged with the mass murder of 4 members of the same family, while at the same time saving the life of a baby from that family. After the murders, Drummond went on the run, and after an extensive manhunt, he was taken into custody. And now, for the first time, he is speaking out, and tonight you will hear what he has to say. Meanwhile, for years, investigators in Atlanta, Georgia were trying to solve the case of the Flint River killer, a serial killer responsible for 5 murders in the mid-70s. In the early 2000s, with the use of advanced DNA technology, they were able to arrest Carl Patton from nearby Locust Grove. Patton committed the crimes with some help from his wife, Norma, who took an immunity deal to testify against the man she loved. At the same time, police were also able to identify another murder victim whose remains were found in 1999, a young woman named Melissa. Melissa was the daughter of Carl and Norma. The serial killer and his wife denied any involvement, and the case remained unsolved for more than 2 decades. Then, finally, charges, but not against her parents. It was Melissa's husband, Christopher Wolfenbarger, who was taken into custody and charged. And tonight, we take a look at this family's extensive criminal history. But first, 10-year-old Rebekah Baptiste died a death no child should ever know. Alone, abused and broken, found on a remote Arizona highway, her body bore the horrifying signs of torture, bruises, starvation, and unimaginable cruelty. Her toenails had been torn off, her eyes blackened, her tiny frame ravaged. Despite desperate calls from her school, no help came in time. Now, her father and his girlfriend face murder charges, and tonight we have body cam video from police who attempted to save Rebekah's life on the side of the road, and they speak with the father and the girlfriend to get their stories about what they say happened to this little girl. I'm Vinnie Politan. Thank you so much for joining us tonight here on Closing Arguments. Great to have you with us. And you know, I know that sometimes our system messes up and it costs children their lives. Children who need protection from their own family. Do you remember Harmony Montgomery, who was actually by a judge given to her killer dad? One of the most, I never understood this. I never understood this. The mother couldn't get to the hearing. The judge decided to just give the child to the father without verifying employment, verifying a place to live, verifying his criminal history, or hearing from the mother. Unreal. She ended up dead, beaten by her father. And they've never recovered her. They've never found her. Tonight, let me introduce you to another little angel. Rebekah Baptiste is her name. This story is tough. They're all tough when we're talking about our children. But in this case, 12 times there were phone calls from her school. You know, the school mandatory reporters, see something, say something, report suspected abuse, and they did it 12 times, and nothing happened. Absolutely nothing happened. Then there was a 911 call from her father's girlfriend from the side of a highway. And in that 911 call, the description of what was going on with this little girl. But if you listen closely to that call, I heard it in the voice of this girlfriend, blaming this little girl for what happened. Unbelievable. So what's their story? What's the story of the father and the father's girlfriend, who were really the ones, the parents, in charge of this little girl? The parents who were there to protect and take care of this little girl. What is their story? You're going to hear it tonight, because I'm going to show you the body cam video from the moment that police respond to the side of the highway And I have to warn you, it's graphic because little Rebekah is on the ground fighting for her life, fighting for every breath. And in those moments, you'll see the life-saving efforts by those first responding officers. You will also see and hear from the father and the girlfriend as they explain their story. And listen closely. I mean, it just seems like they are blaming this little girl for what happened. Let's take a look.
They found her in the wash. Okay. And she's been unresponsive.
We didn't know where else to take her. Here, let's just grab her. We're like smack dab right between here and talking with. That's it. All right. And she's been running away for the last, like, 3 or 4 weeks since we've been here.
Okay.
She ran away this morning. We went out and tried to find her, and our neighbor found her.
What time this morning?
We got up about 9:30, so it would have been close to 10:30.
So you guys saw her the night before?
Yeah.
Okay.
We all sleep in the same building.
Okay. And then, so you said she ran around that morning, and you guys were trying to find her?
This morning. Yeah, this morning, yeah.
And you guys went out trying to find her, and then your neighbors found her?
Neighbor found her, yeah.
Okay, what were they doing down there? How'd they find her?
They were on quads.
They were on their quads? Okay. And then they brought her to you?
Yeah.
At your house?
Yeah. Well, technically was my great uncle's. He died recently, so we moved in there.
Okay.
So that's kind of how people know us up there.
Did she have any signs of life when she got brought to you?
She was almost basically like this. She was slightly responsive. She was still breathing on her own.
What do you explain to me what you mean responsive?
Like she was just breathing on her own.
Breathing on her own?
But that was about it. And then as we were driving this way, started seeing color change in her lips, and we were just hauling it.
Walk me through what happened today.
We were outside starting the morning. Before I can get waters in the bottles, she went running off again.
Okay, you saw her run off?
No, she disappears. We have them play in the yard, and she was supposed to go stand in the shade and go wait for me, because that's where we've been keeping her, to be outside, because she can't be trusted in the building because she gets there. There's knives, there's weapons, there's everything.
Okay.
So I had her standing outside. I turned around to go grab waters for bottles, and she was gone.
Okay. Was she complaining of any pain, any sickness, anything like that today?
She's been complaining of a headache.
A headache?
Ever since she ran away the first day, she's been complaining of a headache.
Okay, she's been this is frequently running away lately?
It's 3 times in less than 2 weeks.
She actually ran away a week before we moved out here. So
she actually jumped out the window. I noticed when he had handed her to us that bulge in her chest, that was making me afraid of. I didn't even think to start CPR. I just thought, let me keep breathing for her and let's just go. I told him the first time that she ran away, she was taken over to Phoenix Children's Hospital and she ended up on a 7-day hold, a psychiatric hold. She has a long history with running to DCS and making up stories of her brothers.
So there has been DCS cases before?
Yeah,
I just got them back from the state.
Okay, who is your caseworker?
No, there is none now.
Who was?
There was multiple. The last one was transferred to a different division.
When was the last time you had contact with them?
The case was closed May.
May of this year?
May of last year.
Last year?
That's when we got our youngest back.
Okay.
And that's when the official case was closed. Her case was closed about a year before that.
Okay.
But she still, while his case was open, DCS kept having new cases open because Rebekah would go to school and had all these different allegations. And what was becoming alarming to not only her therapist but to the DCS workers was that she started having markings. Like she had bruises on her hands and her arms, and they took pictures and thought Rebekah had told her that we had done it. And it was her way to try to get taken out. The first time she ran away, she told us that she didn't want to live here. She was just trying to leave. But we explained to her, everyone explained to her the dangers that come with this. She ran away like 3 days after that, and then now this. But she's been complaining of headaches since the first day and basically dehydrated ever since the first day.
She died of a bleeding brain, was malnourished, and had wounds from head to toe. Let's bring in our think tank. Joining me live in studio tonight, family law attorney, law professor Randy Kessler. Former criminal defense attorney and civil rights attorney Erica Wilson is with us. And criminal defense attorney, the man behind the glasses, Josh Schiffer. All right. What did we just hear? What did I just hear?
A bunch of lies. Ooh. A bunch of lies. Let me tell you the first lie. When she said the child was making it up. But then I also heard her say when it was sent to DCF, it was transferred to a different division. It is, because when it's an allegation, it's in CPS. Once it's substantiated, then it goes to foster care. So the child didn't make it up. A court of law found that they abused the children that they were taken.
And what we didn't hear is, how's my kid? How's my kid? Where's my kid? Oh, we're having this conversation. They know they're going to be accused. They know they're being defensive. And they're trying to get off the hook. How about we can talk about the facts later? Where is my daughter, you know?
Yeah, the demeanor involved is abhorrent. It's completely
She's a
unnatural.
former nurse, by the way, just so you know.
Oh, wow.
Thank goodness former.
Yeah.
Awesome, yeah, exactly. Thankfully, former. Because when you deal with kids, you see what is natural, what can exist in their normal habitat, and then you see the stuff that only happens when they've been exposed to abuse.
We saw
only happens.
And yes, what did we just see? We saw it going down and down and down. First, it was their bruises. And then we just got my youngest back. And who's the caseworker? Well, for which case? I mean, it just was a comedy of errors. It's how many things do these people have to do wrong before society and the state steps in and stops them?
Now, they're both charged with murder now.
Good. They should be. And it's mind-numbing to us sitting here. We see the smallest allegation drive our clients crazy. You can spend years fighting one allegation from mandatory report, so it makes us sick and angry to see this obvious chronic abuse. The state's been involved, and now a child is dead.
Right? There are people out there saying, I lost my kid the first time. Yeah. They had 12, 15 shots at it.
Yeah, you can tell this ain't their first rodeo. That's why they jumped right into their narrative. There was no concern. At some point, it even felt like they were mad at the child for running away and even inconveniencing them.
Frustrated that you're going to make me have to deal with these people again.
She was supposed to go stand there and wait for me.
And they spoke the nomenclature. They had the language. You're absolutely right. They had the language.
Now, was reportedly in April, I believe, a visit to the home by police who saw a black eye, but nothing happened. So how much of this, like, obviously we are blaming the parents if they are responsible for this conduct that they're accused of. It falls on them, but it seems like there should have been a way for this child to be protected. I don't understand it.
There is a way. The police showed up. DFACS showed up. There were
But they got him back. Like, I know we always want, reunification is always the goal. But they didn't even have a place to live. They had to wait for their uncle to die to live in something called a yurt, which is kind of like a house, but I don't think it has running water.
I mean, the cops are learning what happened.
I think it's like a tent.
After the fact, right? These questions that the cop was asking were good questions, but the child's dying, the child's dead. Ask those questions when you see a black eye, when you see bruises, when the school calls 12 times. You're right, Vinnie.
And the school did, the teachers and administration, I mean, they think they did everything they could. They called on that child and on another child, and they just kept calling and calling. So the story we just heard, are we going to hear that same story at their murder trial?
No.
When it's time for a defense?
If they have good lawyers, then you
blame
will
the child.
That video is coming in, though.
The video's
coming in, but the narrative will change, I promise you.
Absolutely, and really,
how can they change it if these are the actual words of the accused?
They're going to pull knives out on each other. Is what's going to happen. Is one of them is going to get offered life without, or potentially death. I imagine it's the death of a child. That's kind of where people get rounded up.
It's going to change. Like my grandma used to say, how do you get into Carnegie Hall? Practice, practice, practice. They're going to practice if they're going to testify, which they might have to now.
All right, let's take a listen to this because we have another piece of video from the body camera. And there is another child, a little boy in the police car, likely the brother. Let's take a listen to that interaction.
What happened today?
Today she ran away.
She ran away?
Yeah.
Okay. And then what happened?
And then she came back home.
Okay. Did mom and dad bring her home? they brought her home? Okay.
Okay, so the brother seems to corroborate the story with the neighbors, and she's running away. I think the big question is, why is she running away? Is she running away because she wants something to eat? She doesn't want to be abused anymore. She wants to get away from the situation.
You don't run away from a happy environment, right? You don't run away from fun. And also, how long were they in the car with that child? Maybe that child, it was, okay, when the police come, you're going to say, and we all remember what happened, right?
Think that's possible?
Oh,
sure, it's possible.
It's so hard to make a little child lie so smoothly. I believe that was very...
Maybe you say, we all saw what happened, right? This is what happened.
Power of suggestion.
Yeah, that much more likely, power of suggestion.
But here's what I don't get. The child was found to be malnourished. They said she ran away. You don't get malnourished for running away for a couple of hours.
Nope, nope.
And if she ran away for extended periods of time, where's the police report?
And I've got to add this as well. I've been exposed to a couple of very rare cases where there are serious mental health issues with very young children.
Sure,
and it's terrifying because does it happen often? No. It's a 1 in a million.
But you don't treat it by saying, go stand in the shade and wait for me to finish so we can go. You take that child in and you make sure that child gets help.
And that's the failure, is that in all of these parents' sophistication as parents or lack thereof, someone else needed to step up here when you've got a chronic runaway child with bruising, allegations of self-harm. You've got malnourishment, which teachers see.
Right.
And that's...
And nurses.
And
even if you're a former nurse.
And there are going to be some witnesses from that school. People, you know, what did you see? Why did you call? I mean, you got 12 possible witnesses if it was 12 different people that made a call.
And there could be records of the parents, and we've all seen this.
And will the jury hear about all of that?
Begging for assistance, and that's absolutely mitigating. If you've gone to the state and said, please help me with my child, typically it's teenagers, but we see it regularly. I can't control my child. My child is a monster. My child is doing violent, illegal things. Please help me. And the police say, sorry, there ain't squat we can do.
That's a defense.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Think Tank staying with us. When we come back, the trial you're watching on Court TV, the serial killer's daughter is the victim, but the serial killer is not the defendant. We'll take a look at that, the criminal history of that family, plus coming up next hour. Tonight on Vinnie Politan investigates the disappearance of little baby Emmanuel. Mom says he was abducted, and tonight we visit the scene of this alleged abduction. Does Mom's story make sense? Tonight, we investigate.
Join Court TV's Vinnie Politan with the latest and breaking true crime stories.
Now, let's look at the other side of all of that.
Vinnie Politan Investigates. Tonight, 9/8 Central, only on Court TV.
Donna Adelson is facing charges of murder, the death of her former son-in-law.
Terrible. Now that Donna has turned into a defendant, what's next for the Adelson clan?
The matriarch mastermind murder trial. Live coverage begins this week on Court TV.
You're going to hear evidence, some of it from their own witnesses, that multiple other individuals could have had something to do with Melissa's death, starting with her own parents. You've heard mention already of the Flint River murders. Melissa's father, Carl Patton, committed a string of murders in the late 1970s. He was suspected of those murders for a long time. He was investigated, but they were not prosecuted and proved until 2003, 4 years after Melissa's disappearance and death.
Unbelievable scenario taking place in Georgia in this case. So for prosecutors, trying to keep the case simple, right? This is a case of domestic violence. We've seen it many, many times. You've got Christopher Wolfenbarger and his wife, Melissa. There he is on the left. There she is on the right. She was murdered. He was an abuser, domestic violence in the house. And finally, they charged him. He was suspected for years, and then they finally charged him. That's the case prosecutors want this jury to be thinking about. But there's a lot more to Melissa's family. And it begins with mom and dad. He's a serial killer. And she stood by her man, and she seemed to know everything about it. And when you look at this family and this family history, from my perspective, you're really looking at like a criminal history. Like their family tree is a family tree with all these crimes as leaves and limbs. Let's bring in Court TV field reporter Cody Thomas. Join us live from studio tonight. And Cody, let's go through this family. Let's go through their criminal history. Let's start, of course, with mom and dad.
Yeah, Vinny, of course, the Flint River killer. That's Carl Patton. We've talked about him for days. Not a stranger to this program as we've talked about this trial. He was convicted in 2003 for murders that he convicted back in the late 70s from 1973 to 1977. 5 murders, Vinny. He was kind of like a hired gun. All of this had to do with insurance payouts. A woman hired him to kill her husband. 2 husbands, actually. And one of those people that he killed was also his former accomplice and high school best friend. But he also had another accomplice, and that was his wife, Norma Patton. And of course, she testified against him in 2003. She got an immunity deal out of that. But in this trial that we're tracking right now, she testified talking about what it was like helping him hide those bodies back in the late 70s. Take a listen.
Now, you've mentioned that your husband, Carl Patton, eventually confessed to murdering 5 people. Is that correct?
Yes.
Were you involved with some of Mr. Patton's murders?
I helped him dispose of the bodies.
Okay. So you were involved?
Yes.
Okay. You testified, as I asked a while ago, that you overheard Carl making plans for one of the murders.
Yes.
Did those plans involve him killing people for money?
I would assume so, yes.
Insurance money?
Yes.
Was that the first time you had heard him talk about killing someone?
Yes.
And what did you think at that moment? Did you think, I should get out of this house?
No.
Did you think that was a red flag about your husband?
I loved my husband.
And you didn't go directly to the police when you overheard your husband discussing murdering somebody?
No, I did not.
You, in fact, helped Carl plan the killing of Joe and Liddy, didn't you?
Yes.
How were those bodies disposed of?
They were in sleeping bags, and we took them to where they were thrown into the water.
And Vinny, out of that immunity deal that Norma Patton secured, she only got 12 months probation for, admittedly, helping this hired gun of a husband, now really a convicted serial killer.
Yeah, planning a murder. Planning a double murder. Let's talk about Melissa's sister now as we continue taking a look at the family. Her sister, Tina. What do we know about her?
We have Vinnie, Tina, not Tina, spelled like Tina, but it's Tina. She's 7 years older than Melissa. She described herself as more outgoing and Melissa being a little bit more reserved. Now, Tina took the stand earlier in this trial talking about some drug charges that she dealt with here recently, but Norma also talked about another murder conviction that's attached to Tina. Take a listen.
You've been in a little bit of trouble yourself too, haven't you?
Yes.
You were most recently convicted for possession of methamphetamines, is that correct? And that was in 2021?
Yes.
And did you have a similar charge in 2022 or 2020?
Yes.
Okay. Did you have previous drug charges before that?
No.
Do you recall an episode where Melissa found a dead baby in the clothes hamper in your house?
Yes.
Wasn't your daughter, Tina, prosecuted for that?
Yes, she was.
I'm going to object. Grounds of relevance.
So that second question, I'm going to sustain your objection, but the first question is overruled. Go ahead, Mr. McDermott.
Wasn't it Melissa that found that baby?
Yes.
And was that around 1992?
1991.
91. And Melissa would have been 14 years old at that time, right?
Right.
So, Vinnie, yet another death connected to a family member in this family, and this time a baby found in a hamper in a closet by Melissa.
Wow. 3 homicides in that house. All right. How about the defendant and the victim, their husband and wife, Chris and Melissa? How about their history?
Well, Vinnie, Melissa had a slight track record of her own. She was convicted of car theft in 1996, got a light little sentence. She got probation, actually. Around the same time, she spent 30 days in jail for a violation of that probation. And then, ultimately, around that time in 96, Vinnie, 97, her and Chris gave up their 2 children to Chris's parents, the children's grandparents. Now, of course, we know the prosecution's whole case. They're pointing the finger at Chris being this violent domestic abuser. Well, Norma Patton, on the stand, talked about one of Chris's 1998 arrests exhibiting that violence against Melissa. Take a listen.
Were you aware of an arrest that occurred on the defendant, Christopher Waffenbarger, in July of 1998?
Yes.
Okay. Are you aware of why that arrest occurred?
Because he had knocked her down and dragged her along the sidewalk.
Okay. Now, I want to make sure that we're talking about information that you are getting from the right source. Where do you get that
from Melissa.
Okay. And when did she tell you that?
And when me and her dad came and picked her up from where they were living on Brookline Street.
Okay.
When we took her back to the house, and I saw the abrasions on her backside. Her dad did not see those abrasions.
Okay. When you say abrasions, what do you mean by that?
Her whole backside was skin up.
Now, Vinnie, Chris Wolfenbarger has gone on the record saying he does recognize and own up to his criminal past, but he claims that he is not a murderer.
All right. Cody, thanks so much. What a history. Let's bring back in our think tank live in studio. Randy Kessler, Erica Wilson, Josh Schiffer. What does the jury do with all this information about all these crimes?
Oh my God, they say I don't want to watch reality TV anymore. I just saw my own reality show. This is unbelievable. Like, let's stay away from all those people and let's make sure we don't live anywhere near them. That's the first thing they're going to say. That's what the prosecution has, though, is bad stuff, right? They don't have a smoking gun. They don't have a confession. They don't have an eyewitness. They have a lot of bad stuff that hopefully will make a jury say, this guy's so bad, he must have done it. I don't think they're going to say, she came from a bad family, she deserved it. I think it's going to help the prosecution. Is it enough beyond reasonable doubt? I don't know.
The family that kills together stays together, I guess. I don't know, like, what is really happening here?
Can you imagine the Thanksgivings? Like, this family has substantial behavior.
But they're the victims in the case.
In this case.
Yeah, victims and perpetrator, there ain't a lot of line between that from what I'm seeing.
Is it a problem? Is it because of their pasts, right? The sister, the mother, and the serial killer father, is that enough? Like, defense attorneys are always pointing a finger all over the place. Here you've got like an actual serial killer, a wife who knew her husband was a serial killer, helped him kill, and kept their mouths shut. You've got a daughter that is an apparent baby killer.
You wanted to know what the jury's going to do. They're going to do just what you're doing, which is struggle with tough facts. And guess what? Just like defense, we don't get to pick the facts that our clients bring us. They bring us stuff we work with. State's got a little bit of that in this case, which really, it's their obligation to maybe have dealt with the case in a different way rather than a giant trial. We're talking a 25-year-old murder where the victim's family has lots of eccentricities that would cause a normal person to question whether anybody's telling the truth and what really happened.
The bottom line, though, like, she goes missing, right? It takes a couple of months for mom and dad to say anything, but the husband never says anything. He says, oh, she went off to start her own life, and then just happened to get murdered and chopped up and placed in bags 8 feet from where you work, in the woods, across from where you work, right around the corner from where you live.
And it was contemporaneous when Dad's getting arrested, remember here.
Right.
Dad's getting arrested, and she's going missing at about the same time.
No. She gets identified.
Yeah.
She goes missing in 98, doesn't get reported until 99. The remains are found in 99, but not identified until 2003, when the Flint River killer, her father, gets arrested.
Translation, your wife leaves and you don't report it to the police. That's what you're saying, right, Vinny? You don't go out and say to the whole world, I can't find my wife, even if you hate her, even if...
But she didn't leave.
But
she got murdered and chopped up. It's not like we're saying, oh, well, maybe she did go to California because we never found her. We found her right across the street.
But his claim was she left, right?
Yeah.
So if she left, you just say, okay, bon voyage, it's been a good life, I don't hear from you, I don't...
But she didn't.
Right.
That's
But
what I'm saying. Right. She was murdered. Like, if they didn't find a body, that explanation might be persuasive.
You're not going to expect your father-in-law to kill your wife. That's a pretty reasonable assumption. So, guess what? My wife disappeared, she's gone. Maybe that was his truth at that moment.
I'm pointing the finger. The defense already has, like, reasonable doubt embedded in all of this because I'm pointing the finger at Dad and Mom, for that matter. I mean, my God.
Mom, who got 12
You're
months.
finding dead babies in the hamper, and people are just going on with their day and having lunch and dinner and sitting around having coffee. Yeah. I'm pointing fingers.
And they're almost, like you, pointing fingers at the victim. You don't want a victim blame. The only time the victim should be relevant is if it was self-defense.
Well, one more fact I want to throw at you. This story became one of those true crime stories. And Mom, and I think the sister also, went out to CrimeCon and were talking about the unsolved case of their sister/daughter. Like, they were pounding for someone to be arrested. Now, if they committed the murder, they wouldn't do that, would they?
You never know. This family, I mean, trying to predict an irrational person like that, but Mom said, she testified, we knew from day one it was him. Like, she was after him. She wanted to point the finger at him. Maybe
they would absolutely do that. They would absolutely do that. Think about how many husbands go on. Look at the parents of the missing child now. They go on TV now with these sob stories, and it's like, please help. They're involved in searches. They would absolutely go to CrimeCon.
Do you think if serial killer Dad was not under arrest and found out that his daughter was chopped up, that he might have taken out his former son-in-law?
Or he might be accused as being the perpetrator.
All right. Stay where you are. It's complicated, I know, folks. Up next, remember we were covering the story of the mass murderer who saved that baby in Tennessee? There he is, Austin Drummond. Manhunt, gets arrested. Guess who's talking? We've got him from jail doing an interview. You'll hear it next.
We're here today to confirm that Austin Drummond has been taken into custody. More importantly, his capture occurred without any further harm to the public or to any law enforcement officers. Just after 8:00 a.m., we received multiple calls of sightings of the suspect. Placing resources there immediately resulted in an additional citizen's call at about 8:57 a.m. We took advantage of that quickly evolving situation and made the arrest at 9:05 a.m.
This was a scary moment in Tennessee, a scary bunch of days when this killer was literally on the loose. There was surveillance video of him with a gun, you know, seeing if doors are locked or unlocked, looking for places to stay as he was hiding from police. He was captured. He's accused of mass murder, 4 people. There were 5 people there. There was also a baby at the house. The baby he took from the house, didn't leave with the dead bodies, but he is accused of murdering the baby's parents, 20 and 21 years old, the baby's uncle, 15 years old, the baby's grandmother, 38 years old, but took the baby from the scene and left it with a stranger on the yard, honking the horn, making sure that someone took care of the baby. And that sped up his arrest and his identification by saving the baby. Well, now he is speaking for the very first time from behind bars with Nick Barris, one of the great reporters from Scripps News Group up in Tennessee. Take a listen to what Austin Drummond had to say.
Austin Drummond is locked up without bond in the Obion County Jail. He's charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder. A source gave him my cell phone number, and he called us to talk about his case.
I'm innocent of what I'm charged with, yes, sir. I'm not an innocent man, but I'm not guilty of what they charged me with.
Of course, you would expect a man potentially facing the death penalty to say that.
I offered to take a polygraph.
The 28-year-old Drummond admits to a long criminal record dating back to his teenage years and was a one-time member of the Vice Lords gang. But he says he did not kill Adriana Williams, Braden Williams, Matthew James Wilson, or Courtney Rose, whose bodies were all found in Lake County on July 29th.
I had no reason to hurt these people. They were my girlfriend's family who had became my family. I took Adriana to the hospital to have her baby. I helped teach Braden to drive. Matthew was like a little brother to me, man.
Drummond was on the run for several days after the murders. Locals in Northwest Tennessee feared a killer was on the loose, and it made national headlines. If Drummond didn't murder the 4 victims, then why did he run?
I did not handle the situation right by running, but I was afraid.
And here's why. Drummond says after another arrest earlier this year, he cut a deal with the Lake County District Attorney, FBI, and ATF to work as a confidential informant.
During my time working for them, I helped uncover drug dealers selling multiple kilos at a time of cocaine, also drug traffickers delivering pounds of meth. We identified dirty law enforcement and correctional personnel and tapped Vice Lord leadership phones.
Drummond says he learned that his cover had been blown the day of the killings, and that is why he ran.
I was afraid because I knew bad things happened, and I was afraid that because I was an informant, things would go wrong. Things would happen to me.
We did ask the district attorney about Drummond's claim that he was working as a confidential informant. The DA said he could not comment at this time. We should learn much more about the case against Drummond at a preliminary hearing that's scheduled for early September. Nick Barris, News Channel 5.
Unbelievable work by Nick Barris, by the way. Let's bring back in our think tank Randy Kessler, Erica Wilson, Josh Schiffer. This just got much more complicated. I was not expecting that.
Nope, makes it smooth, because guess what? That guy's story, 100% tracks. 100%. They put the squeeze on him as an undercover, means you go out there and jump into a pool you are not prepared to swim in. He gets mixed up with some real bad dudes that have no qualms killing your girlfriend and her family and all these other people.
Well, the girlfriend wasn't killed. It was the girlfriend's sister.
Anybody, doesn't matter.
So what led investigators to him?
Oh, well, they had his name just from doing the profiles of everybody involved, and, you know, they can build these charts pretty quickly.
They had a picture of a car.
And he ran.
They had a picture of a car. They've arrested 3 other people who are alleged to have helped him after the fact.
Right. You know what's interesting is you always say zip it, right? Don't talk. You're on death row. Zip it, zip it, zip it. Well, in this case, it can't get much worse for you, right? Everyone thinks you did it. Unzip it and talk.
So why would those people save the baby? If someone else did this, why would they save the... I can understand why he would save the baby. He just told me that he was there for the birth of that child.
I think he did save the baby, and I think
So you think he's there during this mass murder?
I think that he was present. I think that he asked other people to help him because he got in so deep that there were 4 bodies.
But Vinny's saying if it wasn't him, why did the people that killed everybody else not kill the baby?
And why wouldn't they kill him? Like, I don't I'm not following the bouncing ball from Josh Schiffer. Is anyone following Josh right now?
That's because I'm buying half of it, Josh.
Yeah, I'm not following what he's...
That's reasonable doubt.
Even a killer could say, okay, that's one too many, right? I mean, sooner or later, okay.
Okay,
Mom,
well, let's
Grandma.
start first with who is responsible. You are saying his story tracks. Does that mean someone else is responsible?
I believe someone else could be responsible.
Are you a defense lawyer?
I know.
So if someone else could be responsible, why is the baby alive?
Because they weren't going to be, they're cold, callous, horrible killers, but killing a baby's a little bit of a step
But it's
too
not,
far.
but it wouldn't be killing the baby, it would be letting the baby die.
You know what evidence there is?
Different.
The only evidence there is him saving a baby.
Yeah.
Right? That's the only direct
According
evidence.
to Josh's theory, he fought off the killers and saved the baby and also saved himself.
Well,
right?
I'm not saying he necessarily had to fight. He was involved with some bad people, might have double dealt.
Is there any way he
dirty
could have
cops,
been
dirty
there
prosecutors?
at the time?
Absolutely. I
So
think
he could have saved the baby but not been responsible for the murders?
I think that he could have been.
Why not just name the murderers?
That's it. It doesn't track, Josh, because if he's going to talk, you say, not only did I not do it, here's who did do it. Go get him.
I think that that's where he's being smart, because guess what? He's been through the system enough times that he knows when to talk and when not to. And he just did drop a dime on some people and saved himself from a death penalty case by talking about these third parties.
There was no deal yet.
Oh,
that was just a reporter. That wasn't the
absolutely.
That wasn't the
but
prosecutor.
I'm just telling you, that's how you get the death penalty off the table, is by going out there and stopping the
calling
ability.
Vinnie Politan and saying, I want to tell you my story. You call the prosecutor.
That guy's not going to call a prosecutor. Prosecutor can't help him nearly as much as the court of public opinion can.
Well, Vinnie,
and this guy's scared.
Do they have your cell phone number? Because
They do not. They do not have my cell phone.
I've got it.
Want to give it out?
we can give it out. He can call you.
We've got Nick Barris working for Scripps News Group, so we're in good hands. So what do you think is going to happen next now? There's going to be this preliminary hearing. Do you think any part of the defense is raised at the preliminary hearing, or are we just going to hear about the forensic evidence or whatever else they have, whether it's video that ties this defendant? Will there be anything about the defense at this prelim?
He's not getting off the hook. It's going to keep going. Why would he say anything?
But will we even hear about it?
He's not going to get bond anyway because it's a murder case, so he's not going to say anything. It's a fishing expedition for the defense to get whatever they can get to prepare. The real thing that's going to help is later on, if there's documents or showing participation with undercover officers, these dirty cops that he's talking, who knows where that goes? We've seen some cases recently where law enforcement has done things that shocks the conscience. That stuff happens. We're just beating up on this guy because he was the unsophisticated lower-class individual who looks like he would be the killer.
If he's turning state's evidence, if he's going to turn somebody else in and throw somebody else under the bus, you do it. Right?
You don't do it when they're going to kill you right now.
We shall see. Great job tonight. Randy Kessler, Erica Wilson, Josh Schiffer. Great to see you. When we come back, I will reveal something else you need to know tonight, plus coming up next hour. Tonight on Vinnie Politan Investigates, a baby is missing. Mom's story has inconsistencies, and Dad has hired a lawyer. What happened to baby Emmanuel? Tonight, we investigate.
Join Court TV's Vinnie Politan with the latest and breaking true crime stories.
Now, let's look at the other side of all of that.
Vinnie Politan Investigates, coming up next, only on Court TV.
Donna Adelson is facing charges of murder, the death of her former son-in-law.
Now that Donna has turned into a defendant, what's next for the Adelson clan?
The matriarch mastermind murder trial. Live coverage begins this week on Court TV.
Welcome back. Time to reveal something else you need to know tonight. Let's take a look at the big board. Jury selection, Donna Adelson. The murder for hire of Dan Markel. 110 jurors have been selected to continue through to the next step in the process. About 35 were excused for cause, people that knew too much who couldn't hang around for the trial. Attorneys are going to meet 10:30 on Thursday, and then the jurors come in at 11. The judge is very optimistic about striking a jury within the first 50 that come through voir dire. Obviously, we will stay on top of it. This is the next big trial here on your front row seat to justice, the next chapter in the murder for hire of Dan Markel, the family matriarch, Donna Adelson, who is expected to testify in her own defense. You will, of course, see the trial on Court TV, and we will have in-depth coverage each and every night right here. All right, right now, please take a look at your television screens. We have a missing child. This is Heriberto Robert, missing from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania since August 17th, just 16 years old. If you see Heriberto, please pick up the phone, make a call, make a difference. You can call 911, 1-800-THE-LOST, or you can call the Philadelphia Police Department in Pennsylvania. That number's on your screen right now. Let's see if we can get Heriberto to a safe place tonight. Don't go anywhere. We've got another hour of live true crime. Vinnie Politan Investigates is next. In the meantime, please don't forget to hug the kids.